Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 147, and I am here with my handsome friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
Just sitting being handsome, you know. Nah,
Nice.
I wish.
I'm
okay, man. I'm just having a fun time of.
Go on, do it. Do the rage. Do the rage.
I am still awaiting return of a payment that was made in error because of a problem with an energy supplier's website.
Yeah.
I was supposed to take £100. They took £722. Sorry, £721.22. Called for a refund. They says, I'll be back in your bank within 3 days. Okay, brilliant. It was over the weekend, so I checked my bank on Monday, and they had taken the payment again. So they had taken £1,500 out of my account. I managed to get the second payment back because they had done it as a direct debit, so I could fill an indemnity with the bank. That came back the next day, which was fine.
Okay, that's good.
The other payment, I've had to do a debit card dispute transaction with the bank, and I've tried to contact the retailer. The first thing you're supposed to do in those situations is contact the retailer.
Yeah.
If I can just say, if I didn't already hold Bulb Energy with no positive regard, that I don't think I could hate them even more now.
Worth throwing out that they're in administration as well.
Special
Like,
administration.
Which is like an additional level of panic whenever someone owes you money.
Their supply still continues, that's not a problem,
Sure.
whatever else. The special administration thing that pisses me off is none of the customer service agents seem to have any clue about customer service.
Yeah.
And they don't give a fuck.
Nah,
Like, they clearly don't give a fuck. And why would you? Your job's on the line.
Yeah.
You're working for a company that's essentially been taken over by the government as an emergency. Everybody I've spoken to so far has been an absolute chin dribbler. It's the only nice way to put it.
Yep.
It's been impossible. I've made 6 or 7 contacts, asked for a complaint to be raised 4 times, for the refund to be sorted, blah, blah, blah. Told her, no bother, that's fine, I'll get a complaint sorted, you'll get an email out, blah, 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 no contact. Eventually, I had just emailed their general email contact line yesterday, and the guy that was emailing me back could not have been more smarmy and useless. His first reply to me was, if you're struggling to pay, you can speak to these and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hi, did you actually read my email? Yeah. I'm not having problems paying. You have taken too much money.
Yeah.
That's a different scenario completely. Please actually read my email and get back to me.
I had no problem paying, but what actually has happened is you have taken more than half of a year's payments in 1 month.
It's just,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me
wrong.
You
have stolen from me.
It's just so fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
And trying to get like a clear answer for anybody that isn't an absolute fucking nungy is impossible.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the fun I've had.
I'm doing something similar, actually.
Yes, you haven't told me the story yet.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as that. Obviously, nowhere near as bad as that because you're talking £700 there. But
no, but it was £1,500. Yeah. It was only through the grace of God the bank returned that fucking second payment.
We talked about these 2 Telecasters that I had coming in from Sweetwater, and those turned up. And I don't remember if I gave an update on the show. I think maybe I did. Sweetwater were like, don't worry about it. Like, if you get import charges, just send us a picture of the invoice and we'll refund it to you immediately. Which they did. Which, you know, awesome.
Good guy, Sweetwater. You
only
put me in touch with them for when I'm over.
So I got a FedEx email bill for £88 for the import of those guitars, which is still too much for 2. You know, Squire of Telecasters. But, you know, so what? Sweetwater are paying it. So I paid it via PayPal immediately and then got the guitars the next day. I checked my bank last night. They have charged my bank account. Don't know how. They charged my bank account another £77 auto billing for the same thing. And I'm like, motherfuckers, I already paid you. I already paid you once. You're taking more money from me. I've gone into high pitch mode now. Only dogs are listening to me at this point. How is this happening? What do you mean fucking auto billing? I don't have an auto billing with you. I've given you no approval to charge my fucking bank card with something. And it's like, well, what the fuck do I do in this scenario? And actually, I mean, the weird thing is, I gave them £88. Why was the second payment less than the first one?
So they could bump you.
It doesn't make any sense. It made no fucking sense. What the fuck's going on? So we'll see what happens. I'm not even sure I'll get it back because big company like that, they're just like,
got your bank?
Yeah. I'm waiting to hear back from them, then I'll go straight to my... But what are the bank going to do? They're just going to say, you approved the payment. And I'm going to go, no, I didn't. No, I fucking didn't. I didn't approve that payment. I absolutely didn't approve that payment. Like, I don't understand how they've taken this money. At no point have I given them... Well, I guess I've made a payment in the past, not for that, but for shipping a guitar. I've shipped a guitar via FedEx So they'll have I have an account with them, so they'll have my card on record. But I didn't approve this fucking payment.
Absolutely not.
Just taking fucking money from me, cheeky bastards. I am more than happy to have these guitars in my possession, and I cannot wait to give them away because that's great. But again, I'm just gonna keep saying the same thing. You try and do a nice thing. And this is me just trying to do a nice thing. I'm trying to give some fucking guitars away to people. And it's costing me a fucking fortune.
It's not even the money, because as we know, like, Sweetwater will help you out and they'll get things sorted.
Yeah.
Eventually, they've been, by the sounds of things, probably the best retail company I've ever heard of on the planet.
Yeah.
It's the brain space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like I'm giving these guitars away because a lot of YouTubers, they're like, oh, well, I'm doing this good thing, but it's going to benefit me significantly because when I do something like this, I'm going to get a video of 100,000 views, right? I know how my YouTube channel works. I don't have a huge audience. I have a good audience. And what I mean by that is not in terms of size. I mean in terms of how fucking awesome the audience I have is. So I don't, no part of me thinks I'm going to put this video up and it's going to get fucking 100,000 views. I'm not doing this video to get 100,000 views and so I can benefit off of that. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that making this video with these guitars in it and sending them out to people is going to cost me significantly more than the video will make. But I don't care. Just wanted to do a nice thing. And FedEx are like, oh, you're trying to do a nice thing. Sweet. We'll take advantage of that.
Fuck you. Aye. Like, but the whole point has been you basically saying, like, you don't have to have super expensive gear to play this music. If anything, you're trying to make it easy for people who are maybe on a lesser budget to come into this kind of thing and see where value lies versus price.
And all I can say now is if you are on a limited budget and you want to buy a guitar online, be very fucking careful. Because that limited budget might almost be fucking quadrupled by the time FedEx are done fucking you in the ass.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is don't buy anything.
Don't buy anything. Save your money for electricity bills.
We're not getting political today, but maybe World War III will mean that we don't have to worry about bills anymore.
Potentially.
You and I could be recording from the wasteland at one point.
I mean, we live in Wishaw. It's basically a wasteland.
I'll give that.
Save your money for your electric bills and save your money for other stuff. Like, for example, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification. I was out on Saturday using the Rev, the D20, sorry, G20.
G20.
And yeah, it does the job. Totally does the job. I mean, standing next to your cab rather than way in front of it is not an enjoyable experience when you don't have a wedge. and not having your rig mic'd up meant that I was running that amp on 10 to fill the venue.
We shouldn't have to push it all the way to that. I mean, 20 watts valve is pretty loud, isn't it?
Well, yes, but I'm stood next to a fucking drummer, like.
So it's more so about your on-stage levels than you're concerned about.
And sometimes Taylor hits pretty fucking hard. Also, I've got my volume pedal because I've got the new.
By the way, that looks pimping.
So fucking good. It really is good.
Davies get one. Did you notice that on his board?
Yeah, I was up in the shop. I saw it and I was like, "What is that? That's amazing!" And he showed me. I was like, "I've got to get one of those."
That's cool, man.
So
did he let you hear his rig?
No.
He's got everything running through that Voodoo Labs ground control,
right.
And he's got the Marshall and he's got the Mesa, and it's all MIDI switching. So he goes for like just, oh, that's quite a good tone to, oh my god, that's like rock star tones at room volume, you Lucky
glorious.
sod.
Yeah, great volume pedal because it's got the volume display on it, and I found that to be really fucking useful on this gig. So when I say I had the volume on the amp maxed, it was almost maxed. It wasn't completely maxed, but my volume pedal was at 8 for the whole gig.
Yeah, so you were saturating the power and the preamp tubes, and then still getting.
Yeah, and I had more in the tank
control.
if I wanted to boost it up a little bit, which I did a couple of times. But I also have a boost pedal to kick on some overdrive, and options.
Joke's on you. Just buy a 50-watt full valve head and turn it up.
Well, part of me is like,
don't actually. I'm being silly.
I could just take the generator.
You could, I
don't think it'll go down all that well in Butt Pig, but we'll see.
It might, but I think the problem you would have is that you would probably scalp a few of the listeners, depending on where they're sitting.
Yeah, and I hope people saw my Instagram where I gave people my top tips for going out and taking an amp out gigging, and that is get yourself a trolley, get yourself a.
Be an old man.
That thing, mate. Like carrying that cabinet from the studio to the kitchen to put it on that trolley, I wanted to die. That cabinet is so fucking heavy. And then once it was just on this trolley, I'm like, just pushing it around like a rocket pace. So
the dream.
Effortless. And then you get to Butterfly and Pig and go, oh, sweet, I've got to get down a flight of stairs now. So
fuck!
Yeah.
I mean, that's just being a musician in general.
Yeah.
Some of the best cabs I've ever had my hands on in terms of just like logistics-wise, not even bothered about sound or whatever, I've had those receded casters in like one corner. Like the wheels are built in, but they're right into the wood.
Sure.
So like you need to tip it on its side. Like the Ampeg ones have got them at the back. You know what I'm talking about, the big 8x10s.
Yeah.
See those for getting up and down stairs and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god, what a lifesaver. Lifesaver.
Yeah, that would be handy.
I'm not looking forward to this 3 weeks of roadieing that I'm probably going to be doing.
Fuck that.
I am so used to playing fucking van Tetris.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I am so not looking forward to it because I'm out of practice.
Sure. Yeah. You'll get into the swing of things.
Sadly.
Get into the swing of things.
No, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. When do you leave?
2 weeks tomorrow, I believe.
2 weeks tomorrow. I've pretty much made the executive decision that the Guitar Souls is just taking a vacation when you're away.
That's fair enough. I mean, I'll maybe send you some. We're going to try and be really conscious of having content while we're over there.
Sure.
So the worst comes to worst, I'll try and get some stuff over to you, and you can fling it up. And if people are interested,
I might fling up a little 10-minute episode where I say hello to everybody and give them updates from Mike on the road.
I might even just do arseholes because I am an arsehole, and I'll just get other people. Like just this is onto it arsehole.
Yeah. Anything you want to send over, I'll give to the people. But I'm done fucking breaking my own back in order to make sure that these people have content every week. I love you all and everything, but sometimes it's hard.
I think because you've taken on quite a bit more recently, as well as the fact that everything's opening it back up again and gigs are starting.
Yeah.
You're busy boy. Busy boy.
Yeah, busier than I've ever been. But
have you been playing? Is it Elden Ring?
I haven't started playing Elden Ring, no, because I started doing the Dark Souls trilogy.
I thought you'd finished them. That's why I'm asking.
I finished Dark Souls 2. I just got the platinum in Dark Souls 2, and I've started Dark Souls 3.
It's not even about the finishing the game for you. It is the platinum, isn't it? Like you can't do anything until you've platinumed a game you're playing.
You can't beat my autism. No, you can't top.
Pardon?
You can't top, mate. I've started to realise how bad it can be. Like there's a card game, a board game, card game type thing called Smash Up, which is like great looking game. Anyone out there, check it out. I'm sure you'll look at it and go, oh, okay, I can see how that'd be fun. But there's so many expansion packs for it. And I got all of them over the last month, and the big storage box that they come in, and putting them in the box is one thing, but then I had to, because my brain won't let me not, I was like, well, I've got to sleeve all the cards. So I had to buy 27 packs of sleeves to sleeve up all these cards, because there's 1,600 cards that I've got in there. But you know what? Once they were all in the box, all sleeved, there was just a euphoric feeling of, it's done. Like when you see those things where something slots into a space perfectly, and people see that and they're like, that's very therapeutic.
Yes,
it was that for me. I have stuff like
an
that.
aesthetic porn thing.
Exactly. And the same thing with a platinum. When you get a platinum trophy in something, it's like, it's done. It's completed. It's the perfect fit. It's 100%ed. It says 100%. And I've worked really hard for it. And could have worked really hard at some more productive things, but. So, point is, I'll get to Elden Ring.
You work very hard on your other things, though. You're allowed to give yourself time to work hard on other stuff that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Work-life balance is not just a fucking statement.
Melissa said this yesterday, and I burst out laughing when she said it. She was like, Levi, you work so hard all the time. You never stop. You're always doing something. And when you're not working, you're doing a hobby, but you're approaching it like it's a job.
It is. Everything in your mind is graft.
Yeah.
But you don't ever think of it as like, oh, that's going to be hard to do, or I need to do this. You just do it.
Yeah, it's just
which is a great mindset.
I mean, it's not. It's terrible. It's really bad for you. But what Melissa said to me that buckled me, she was like, Levi, there's legitimately probably people on social media that have unfollowed you because your productivity, because the stuff that you do them gives them comparison guilt. And I'm like,
I absolutely agree. Anytime I think of other things that I could be doing to make income, and I compare myself to things that you're doing, and I'm like, I just don't have the self-discipline to get that done, so what's the point?
Yeah, so go and check out Weekly Guided Practice Routines. New one goes up every Tuesday. And this one's an absolute doozy, playing some Soul Man. So yeah, should we talk about some guitar stuff? Should we do
guitars are shit. Let's talk about politics. There's nothing happening in the world at the moment, political wise, and obviously we won't upset anyone by making any blanket horrendous statements.
Here's the thing: we're not going to go down the subject. We're going to avoid saying it, but
it's far too divisive.
Is it though? I honestly think that it's something that we could talk about, and I think every listener would be on the same page. I think, generally speaking, the entire world would be on the same page on this one. The reason I have no interest in talking about it is because, guys, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but us saying anything is fucking irrelevant. Changing your profile picture on Facebook doesn't fucking do anything. Stop with your pathetic slacktivism. If you want to go out and make a change in the world, go out and make a change. But just telling people that you support a cause and your support amounts to changing a profile picture doesn't fucking help anyone.
I agree with him. BRB going to Ukraine.
Okay.
I get your point. Totally get your point. Yes, hearts out to those people that we can't actually do anything physically or meaningful to help.
Yeah.
But the world is watching and with bated breath. Yeah. One thing I will say, though, not getting really into the political thing, absolutely fuck the UK and especially fuck Priti Patel, who turned around and says, we're not taking any more applications for people for Ukraine.
I mean, that's super political, so let's...
It is, but most of the world has opened their eyes and went, maybe we should try and help people here.
Yeah.
So I fuck Priti Patel, big time.
Yes.
Anyway.
We have no fan mail this week.
We have no fans?
Yeah, I know, that is true. Last week's episode was a bit of a dud.
Really?
In terms of the amount of people that actually checked out, just compared to other episodes. So what I potentially take from that is when you think about the subjects that we talked about, when you think about the thumbnail that I made and the way I titled it, what we were talking about was equality in the music industry and representation of women in signature guitars and things like that. Mm-hmm. And evidently our disgusting misogynist pig audience aren't interested in watching something like that, so they didn't. No, I'm kidding.
That's the truth, though.
But generally speaking, I do find, as I know, my YouTube statistics skew more than 99% male. So evidently you're not interested in hearing about the plight of women. So let's start the show today by talking about Gibson celebrating the life of rock and roll trailblazer Sister Rosetta Tharpe, with a new merch line and a YouTube mini documentary. And I'd encourage people to go and check this documentary out. It's 9 minutes. It's a mini documentary just talking about Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
I'm all about the documentary, but the fact that they started off talking about Gibson releasing merch, you're not celebrating anyone, you are capitalising on them.
Making money. But
anyway, Shout Sister Shout stars Celise and Amethyst Kia and tells the story of the godmother of rock and roll, an early adopter of the 61 Les Paul SG, who changed pop culture for keeps. It's quite the headline. Yeah. So we're reading this off of Music Radar. Gibson shot a documentary and launched a merch and accessories line, obviously, in celebration of the godmother of rock and roll, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Horrible shills.
Yeah.
Shout Sister Shout tells the story of an Arkansas rock and roll pioneer who changed the world with a high-octane gospel sound powered by the electric guitar and a propulsive playing style. The story is told through Amethyst Kia and Celise Henderson and follows Tharpe as she toured the South of America during the era of Jim Crow and segregation with a sound that would influence early rockers such as Chuck Berry and Elvis, and then go on to be a source of inspiration for contemporary rock acts such as the Nova Twins.
I have no idea who the Nova Twins are, but there's a link to something else on the website here, so somebody relevant that they want to push.
Yeah. I mean, the most important part here is the fact that our SG is absolutely fucking pimping.
Yeah, we'll bring it up for people when we're done reading that.
Yeah, Tharpe played a number of guitars, including big-bodied jazz guitars such as Gibson's L5 and notably a Les Paul Gold Top with a trapeze-style tailpiece. But it's the 61 Les Paul SG Custom that she's most associated with. With its white finish, triple humbucker format, gold hardware and sideways vibrola, it was a statement instrument and recently issued by Gibson to commemorate the 60th anniversary with an Epiphone version co-designed with the Gibson Custom Shop, featuring US pickups, a more budget-friendly alternative. The documentary is accompanied by Gibson's Sister Rosetta Tharpe collection, which offers a range of merch and accessories capitalising on Tharpe. Sorry, that says celebrating Tharpe, including T-shirts, a satin tour jacket, a number of Oxford pennants, an enamel pin set, camp flag, guitar strap, poster, and even a mini axe-having replica of her 61 Les Paul SG custom. Those wanting to learn more about Sister Rosetta Tharpe beyond the documentary can also pick up Gail F. Wald's biography, Shout Sister Shout, the untold story of rock and roll trailblazer Sister Rosetta Tharpe. We're going to check out the full collection over at Gibson.com.
So
let's see how they can profit yet again off of
people. I will interject on this one, because you are right. Like, this is an opportunity for Gibson to make money, but at the same time, they won't be able to do this and make money off of the name and likeness, because they're a US company, US artist. They won't be able to do that without having the correct licenses in place. So some part of Sister Rosetta Tharpe's estate is somewhere someone is making money from this.
Hopefully.
And
if
the
there's
other
money going
thing,
back to the right places, then okay, fair enough.
yeah. How much of that, we'll obviously never know. And at the same time, we could also look at this and argue that, I guess, there are two ways you could look at this, right? One is we put up a show talking about women, no one cares about it. When women do things in the music industry, men don't care about it. So you could look at this and go, Gibson aren't going to make much money because nobody cares about women in the music industry. We could do that.
I don't know if I would agree with that, though. I mean, I get that Fender's evidence is very skewed. They've been talking about all the new, or that more than half of the new people buying guitars were female.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Gibson's seen and went, well, maybe we should probably take that as a target demographic to be marketing to now.
But that's the other side of the coin that I was going to bring up, is that we are a very left-leaning society, and especially music consuming people, definitely. So representation in that is something that people are always talking about, and rightfully so. So I think that there is every potential that people are going to buy into some of this stuff just because they feel that it's supporting a good cause, which I guess I'm all right with. Let's bring it up.
I would, if it's for a good cause and stuff, absolutely. It's just my knee-jerk reaction is, as soon as I see Gibson or Fender talking about these things, it's like, oh, you're making money off someone else.
Yeah.
As usual.
So we
now, is Sister Rosetta Tharpe still alive?
No.
Okay. It's funny how it's now timed for after she's passed away.
I mean, I don't think she passed recently.
Even at that, I wouldn't say that it's a coincidence that they're not honouring anyone who's still alive and who could potentially say,
yeah,
fucking hold on.
I have to say, this, it might be $90, right? Which is way too much for what it is, for I'm sure the quality of it. But I would probably pick one of these up for Melissa.
It's pretty cool looking. I'll give him that.
It's relatively for someone like Melissa, who is constantly going out of her way to champion women in the music industry, runs Female Musicians Scotland. Something like this is a nice kind of statement piece, if you like, tip in your hat. And I'm not against stuff like this. If somebody wears something like this and it results in one person going, "Oh, who's that on the back of your jacket?" and it results in you going and checking her out. I'm
just curious to find out where the money from these sales are going. I think that's maybe just me being yet again a horrible cynic.
Yeah, most of it is going to go into. You know what? Let's bring up some of the documentary. Most of it is going to go into Gibson's pocket, obviously.
Yes.
But that's to be expected. Let's just scroll into this so we can see her doing her thing on that beautiful SG.
That was a beautiful SG. Ridiculous guitar on it.
She was a
clearly very charismatic.
Yeah, it always feels wrong to describe someone like this as a great player, because we judge based on our current understanding of what it means to be a great player. Obviously, 10-year-old kids are out playing her now, but the point is, at the time, she was a really cutting-edge player and super charismatic, and yeah, definitely a huge influence on lots of up-and-coming musicians around the time.
Total trailblazer.
Yeah, I think it's cool that she's getting a little bit more attention. That's nice.
I'll give them their dues as well. It looks as if going through this documentary, there's a lot of female musicians who are talking about her and her influence. I mean, obviously we can't hear the audio, but that's my guess, is they've got 4 or 5 different people there, even just as you've clicked through. And outside of all of that, what a fucking cool guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something about an SG Vibrola.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I associate it with Angus Young, or if I just think they look cool.
Sure.
But,
yeah, so go and check that out.
Yes. What are the comments like? Just out of curiosity. I don't need to read any out or whatever, but...
So it's the artist involved in the thing.
Oh, here. You know what? The comment section is actually really pretty good. It seems to be a lot of people supporting Gibson actually.
Yeah, because
doing a good thing.
There are sure they are doing it for financial benefit, but at the same time, Melissa always likes to say there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, which I think we can all agree with.
At best, we can hope for mixed motive business.
Yeah, so in this scenario, we can look at it and go, Gibson are looking to make money, but the added benefit of that is it might introduce people to somebody that was significant in the music industry. I think there's the famed discussion of things like who's the greatest unknown guitar player of all time, and
no one knows, they're unknown.
Exactly.
Move on.
Yeah, when you have people arguing about Roy Buchanan or Danny Gatton in lists like that, it's like, but because of lists like this, everyone fucking knows who they are. But you still know what I mean. Like everyone, I don't want to say everyone knows Sister Rosetta Tharpe's name, but compared to what people, her name coming up 10, 15, 20 years ago, it wouldn't have come up nearly as much as it does today. Mm-hmm. So I think they're doing a good thing here. I think they're definitely.
Yes, we can hope that there's good motivation behind it and not just profits.
Yeah, profits. So. I'm sure profits are the only thing. Speaking of doing things just for profit.
It sounds about right. Pantera releasing a vulgar display of power graphic novel. That'll not be Pantera that's releasing it then, will it, really? That will be two members of Pantera who don't actually talk. Woo! Tomorrow marks... Sorry, what date was this?
This was...
24th.
24th,
so the 25th would have marked the 30th anniversary of Vulgar Display of Power, which makes some of us feel older than God. I don't know about that, metal sucks. And while Pantera's legacy has gone through a lot since 1992, it's undeniable the record is a banger and it shaped the face of metal as we know it. Now, Z2 Comics, the company behind the graphic novels about classic albums by Dio, King Diamond and recently Spiritbox, have announced they've partnered with Pantera to release a Vulgar Display of Power graphic novel. Z2's Vulgar Display of Power graphic novel contains stories based on each of the songs from the band's classic album, penned by some of metal and modern comics' best and brightest, including Life of Agony's Alan Robert, Testament's Eric Peterson, ex-Every Time I Die frontman Keith Buckley, ex-Fear Factory vocalist and nautical crier Buttons Seabell, absolute lot of shite, Steve Niles, who wrote 30 Days of Night, Tony Lee, who apparently wrote Beartooth, The Journey Below, and the artist list's also pretty impressive, which is Brian Ewing, Ryan J. Downey, Eric Rodriguez, Ryan Kelly, Steve Chanks, Kevin Millen, John Pearson, and Danielle Zizelge. I'm assuming that's how you say that. Phil Anselmo was quoted as saying, "We're really happy and excited to have this graphic novel come out for the fans and to be part of something special as it pertains to its artists and creators."
Yeah.
And
I don't think we need to read anymore. I'm just going to scroll through and bring up some images for people, though.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, but I'm not going to go out and buy it.
If you're a big Pantera fan, then sure, but if you're not, then...
But if you're a big Pantera fan, why would you bother with this?
That's a weird one. Well... I think the answer to that is a very simple one. If you're a big fan of anything, you want as much of that thing in your life as possible.
Potentially.
If it exists, you want it. So, not for me. Not for me. Speaking of Pantera to a degree, actually, I don't know if you saw it. I know you're a fan of Hot Ones, the Sean Evans hosted talk show. Dave Grohl was on that this week.
Oh, was he? I've not seen that one yet.
Yeah, interesting show. And I bring it up because Dave kind of dedicates it to Pantera. They're drinking Blacktooth Grins for the whole show. And I have to say that Dave, while he comes across as incredibly bubbly as a human being on there, some might even say childlike with how enthusiastic he is about everything, his drinking on that show leaves me with concern.
I have seen a few people mention that Dave drinks like a motherfucker.
Yeah. And obviously it isn't that big a concern because he's been doing what he's been doing for a very, very, very long time. And as far as I'm aware, he hasn't ever had to go to rehab or anything like that. And he's still an incredibly functioning member of the music community. But yeah, his thirst for alcohol in that show definitely left me going, we've talked about my thoughts on Dimebag in the past, and I've said because of the way he carried himself in interviews, I don't have the highest opinion of him because I'm not straight edge by any stretch of the imagination.
But there's a level of professionalism you'd expect and courtesy you'd expect from someone that you're interviewing. It's
a level of professionalism that it's not that you need it, it's just that like treating the music industry like it was 30 years ago, where there was an excess of finance kicking around and you could behave like an arsehole because that's what sold, is very different to what it takes to be successful in the music industry today. And I know too many musicians that come into the music industry hoping to make a go of it, and when you watch them carrying themselves in the music industry, what they're really looking forward to is the after show party all the fucking time. And it's like, guys, you will not have a long career if you're here for the after show party. Like,
absolutely not.
Get your job done, go home, get a good fucking night's sleep because you've got more work to do tomorrow.
But I don't think we can really say that about Dave.
No.
They've just put that fucking Studio 666 film film
Sure.
together and stuff. So maybe the context is that he's had quite
Sure.
a busy time and just went, fuck it, I'm going to have a drink now.
But let me be super clear. Like us, it works for Dave, and Dave's kind of managing it. But I guess the point is, most people can't manage it.
Yes.
It can ruin a lot of people.
Yes.
And my concern with seeing something like that is again, it's that glorification of that as a lifestyle. When you think of the Pantera Vulgar Videos series, like that's a glorification of a lifestyle which encouraged their entire generation of their fans to imitate that lifestyle. And I guess I'm being a bit of a Puritan. Like I say, I'm not straight edge.
You're not being a Puritan. I get where you're coming from.
It's a concern for people's wasted
harm
potential.
reduction.
Yeah.
Harm reduction.
Yeah.
Knowing is half the battle, as G.I. Joe said.
Yeah. So
And knowing that the devil is in the dosage is a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not being a Puritan or straight edge because, as Mike can attest, I like a drink.
Yes.
I like a drink.
But
I like an aggressive drink sometimes.
But you kind of choose your moments to binge. It doesn't happen often. And
Aye,
you
but
go,
when
okay.
I binge. I take it too far. When I drink, I just take it too far.
It's okay, I'm being sick in this hedge. Hold my hair back. I'm all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Once it's out, I can continue drinking. Cool. So, yeah, go and check out
That's
that.
a dangerous statement. But then again, this is me saying that in one of the songs. And the fact that the opening song on Party Cannon's newest album is called Tactical Chunder, which is actually about being sick so you can drink more.
That's exactly what that was in the bush. That was just a tactical chunder.
That was a good Tactical Chunder. You done well.
Okay, so Cannibal Corpse.
I love to see this because I know Nico.
Okay.
And his work is fucking incredible.
Nico the artist.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Nico Calla. And sorry, for context, this is about Cannibal Corpse. They're selling a high-priced severed face on their current tour. Now, Nico is a guitarist and also an incredible artist. And all of his art is kind of like, it's not H.R. Geiger inspired, but it's that somewhere between super gory, almost human, and some it's kind of techie as well. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of his earlier stuff's a lot more of that kind of cyber human meld.
Uncanny Valley isn't the right word to describe it.
These
but
are-
it's that
these are
things that
incredible.
just far enough removed from being what you expect to see that it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. So Nico has made these severed faces, which he made 5 for the band, so they've all got one individually, as to keep for themselves. And I think he made another 10.
Yeah, there's 10%.
I knew there wasn't a lot, but like, what a job he's done of them because they are fucking harrowing. Anyway, I'll read this from Metal Sucks. There are some items that you can see at a merch table in the back of the venue and think, holy shit, I'll pay whatever it takes to own this. Certain shirt designs inspire this kind of devotion, but more often than not, it's something weirder than that. A weed grinder or a mask or a vinyl shaped like a buzzsaw. Definitely not an $810 copy of a progressive new metal record.
Which we'll be talking about in a second.
Sounds good, we'll get into that. Now, Death Metal Legends Cannibal Corpse might have beat all other bands with their latest merch item, a severed face. According to Cannibal Corpse's Instagram, the band are selling the severed face stage props at their merch table on their current US tour. However, it's a limited item and they're pretty expensive. From the band. Some of you may have noticed on stage with us, one of these on stage with us on this current tour, easy for me to say. These extremely detailed and handmade skin masks are made by the extremely talented Nico Calla, I think it's Calla, and are available at our merch booth. There are only 10 of these available and they are a higher priced item. No fucking wonder. Nico's work is unbelievable. Do you want to bring it up on screen for people to see?
Just seeing if they, So let's go here.
So Nico plays in Iniquitous Deeds, who've got Matt Kilner on drums. They're a ridiculous band, but this is what he does as well as his art, and a lot of it is absolutely fucking unreal.
Yeah, they're pretty.
That's not a great photo of like the items because it doesn't. That one I think takes a bit of the look away because of the camera flash.
Sure.
But
yeah,
when you look through his art in general, it's pretty fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. When Metal Sucks talk about the price, they say these are amazing. We definitely buy one of these depending on the price. Does anyone know how much these faces are going for? We're trying to lock it down, so if you know, shoot us a message. Somebody in the comments pointed out that if you go on his Instagram, he has a picture with them and a $160 price tag, which I don't think is too expensive for what this is.
It's a very limited item.
Yeah.
There's 5 of them that are given to the band, so it's not only limited, but it's the kind of thing that the band already cherish.
Yeah.
It's handmade.
Yeah. I would say that these are actually, I think, significantly underpriced for what they are. 1 of 10.
Mm-hmm.
1 of 10 items. Like,
there's the picture there. $160, that's right.
Yeah.
That's it packaged up.
Sure. So I have to say, I think they're underpriced for what they are.
So Chris and Party Cannon has toured with Nico because he's played with Iniquitous Deeds, and
Sure.
I've played a few gigs with their drummer, but when he was playing in different bands. But Nico's art in general is fucking minted. So he was making a few of those skinned faces already for other people,
Right.
like friends in other bands. And I think Cannibal Corpse got a look at them, and somebody for the band went,
Sure.
We want them, thanks.
Yeah.
I
just have to look at that and go, $160 a piece. Fifth Factory, Cannibal Corpse. They will have commissioned him to make these for merch. He hasn't just made them to give to them for them to sell. So there's a margin for profit on there for the band to make, and they want that profit to be worthwhile, especially on a tour. So I would say at least half of that has got to be profit for them.
I would hope so. I think they would deserve it as well.
But I would actually, that's my kind of point. Like, so we're saying that Nico is maybe making, and I'm just throwing numbers out there. Nico is maybe making these for $80 a pop. Nico did this and potentially made $800 for himself. Like, it's just, he's not being paid enough. These should have been sold for considerably more than $160 because the artist that has made these deserves to make a good chunk. The band deserves to make a good chunk as well, but I just can't see anywhere in this where I think the band got money that was worthwhile and the artist got money that was worthwhile. But I tell you who did get something that was worthwhile: the fans that buy them.
Absolutely. And I think maybe Nico's thing probably was just actually putting them out there. Nobody can see these. We'll maybe try and find them and bring them up. These are light switches that you've done for Cannibal Corpse before, right? Look at the fucking detail. Look at
hideous.
That. But look how, almost grotesquely realistic they are. Yeah. Even the eyeball and shit, you know what I mean?
Hideous.
Revolting. But wow, what work out. And there's that Geiger influence. Sure. You know what I mean? Like that kind of tunneled steel piping and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's not continue talking about things that people can't see.
Go check out Iniquitous Deeds because they're fucking great. Incessant Hallucinations is a fantastic album. And Nico's guitar playing's great.
And really, the idea that I guess I was getting at with this is bands should charge enough for a product that their fans are willing to pay it, but also not charge too much. For example, Tool putting out a vinyl tour edition for $810.
Oh, the band that have been trying to profit on their fucking cult status, maybe is the way to put it.
I do have, before we go into the numbers, I guess I do have something to say about stuff like this. Like, at its core, I think in scenarios like this, people get angry at the wrong people. They get angry at the wrong scenario. So, I was looking at some gaming stuff over the last week, and one of the websites that I might buy some gaming stuff from had a limited edition product for sale, which the original retail price on it, or the suggested retail price, not the actual retail price, I think was like £15 or £20, and they had it up for £110. And the reason they had it up for £110 is because it was an extremely limited item, and people had snapped up all of these extremely limited items and were putting them on eBay for £120, which they were selling for, right?
Yes.
So these products were, in terms of value, because value is whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
Absolutely, that's how supply and demand often works.
Bingo. So people are willing to pay £120 for this. There were a lot of people up in arms at the retailer that had put their prices up on a product significantly, and it's like, they're not taking advantage here. The reason you're annoyed about this is that you didn't get to buy it cheap, so you could then flip it for a massive profit, right? When the retailer says, we're doing this because we want to try and keep them out of the hands of scalpers, we're sorry that means that you have to pay more for it. Some people are like, well, it just means that you're essentially doing the scalping. While that is absolutely true, in the scenario that we're talking about there, getting angry at the retailer is totally the wrong thing to do. The problem isn't the retailer. We talked about Nintendo and their artificial scarcity on the podcast before. You're angry at the wrong people. Get angry at the people manufacturing the thing and deliberately making a reduced amount of amount of product that they know is going to be in massive demand. In this scenario, you get annoyed at the person selling it, Tool, and you get annoyed at the manufacturer, also Tool. Yeah, Tool have decided how much of this they're making, and then created that scarcity and are selling it to for a silly price.
But you're always going to have limited edition things. I think the point is that you don't price it at scalper prices to start with.
Yes. Though saying that, I guess what I'm getting at is if there's room, I think, in your pricing model for somebody else to buy the product and then sell it on to other people, then you're not charging enough for the product.
Okay.
You know what I mean? anytime because we talk about value as only what somebody's willing to pay for it. So you need to price your things at a price that people can afford to pay and people are willing to pay. And I think that I think Dave Grohl's probably, we talked about him earlier, Dave Grohl's probably a good example of somebody that would put this exact same thing out and do it for $20 because he's just got that good guy vibe about everything that he does. And in that scenario, I'd just have to be like, well, you're a fool, because your fans would happily, not confidently, just happily, they'd be happy to pay double that for it, and yet you're charging less for it because you think it makes you a good guy. I guess it does make you a good guy, but when you add in scarcity into the equation and you're undercharging what people are willing to pay, you create a market for scalpers. You are creating the fucking scalpers. Scalpers shouldn't exist. Scalpers are the scum of the fucking earth.
But I don't think you should be responsible for the agency of someone else in that regard. I don't think companies are responsible for scalpers who decide to buy things and resell them.
No, but if scalpers buy things and then go to resell them, obviously they want to make a profit. If the retailer had sold it for the price in the first place that didn't leave room for a scalper to make a profit on it, then the scalper can't come in, buy things and sell them on.
Okay, so PlayStation should sell the PlayStation 5 at £800, £900?
Generally speaking, people weren't, like, the widely accepted price that people would pay for that evidently wasn't, because scalpers just had warehouses full of these things.
You say that, but I've seen plenty of people paying stupid money for them.
Some people did pay stupid money for them, but by and large, people wouldn't pay those prices for them. Like, I bought my second one from a scalper and I paid £50 over retail price, because I'd happily pay £50 over retail price for a PlayStation because I wanted one. And like, I guess the point is, it's all of this stuff is always flexible, and it's always about working out in the market what people are and are not willing to pay. And I just think, I'm sure we're both on the same page with this. £810 for this vinyl is just taking the fucking piss.
Let's break it down a bit and we'll see if there is
any.
But
people will pay it, because you remember the price of those fucking Adam Jones Les Pauls.
I know. Like, but people are stupid. You can't trust people.
Go on.
Yes. Earlier this week, Metal Sucks reported that Tool were releasing an $810 vinyl version of their 2019 album Fear Inoculum to be sold on tour. Caused an understandable amount of brow furrowing amongst fans and media types alike. Blah, blah, blah. Right. Anyway, they've dropped it to $750, right? I just can't be arsed reading through Metal Sucksy stuff as if I'm some sort of regurgitator, but I do want to read how Tool have described it so that we can dissect it and see what we think, right? So these early vinyl arrivals, only a tour item for the time being.
For the time being.
So you're going to pay $110 for something that might come out normally, have been autographed, and that's in capitals because obviously that makes them way more valuable. Yeah. Adding a personal touch to the cover imagery. Scribbling over the top of art. Okay.
I cannot express how I hate saying offensive, but I'm going to say it anyway. How much that offends me. Like, I can't.
As a consumer,
could you? No, as somebody that has product that I sell, could you imagine with the new Party Cannon album that's come out, putting it up for sale on your website for £10 or for £20 with a signature on it?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting.
It does not add value.
The fact that people are buying something directly from your website, rather than pirating it, is a reason to put your fucking name on it. Not, well, I'm not going to put my name on it unless they're paying for my name to go on it. Like, fuck you. Carry on.
So here's maybe where they've got the idea for their value, right? So the package contains 5 discs of industry best 180 grams vinyl. Okay, I'll take your word for that. With audio tracks on one side and etched art on the reverse of each side of the discs. As a showpiece, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Though the quantities are very limited, should there be any remaining copies, they'll be made available to concert goers at the general merch booth. For 5 vinyls. Yeah. $150 a pop.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go down the route of buying vinyl. It's just not something I've decided I'm not going to do it.
I don't understand. No disrespect to anybody that likes vinyl, but it's, in my mind, it's a dead technology. Yeah. It's been improved on dramatically, and it's prone to shitty failure, and the money in it's silly.
Well, I saw like Black Label Society put out their entire back catalogue as like a big vinyl collection.
Did we not speak about it a wee while ago?
We may have done, and I certainly considered buying it. I really did consider buying it. It was £180, which is like, let's compare it to this, This is every Black Label album. Quality vinyl, artwork, new information, cool stuff, £180. And yet Tool are looking at this going, yeah, well, it's five discs here, so it needs to be $800. Like, I hate it. Or Melissa, like, she's the biggest Terry Pratchett fan, you'll ever meet. Right. And there is a recent vinyl collection of Terry Pratchett radio radio dramas that was just re-released on vinyl.
Nice.
And I was like, well, I could get that for you for your birthday. But then I'm like, it's a nice collector's piece, but it comes back to that same thing. Like, it's a really expensive thing that's just going to sit there because we don't put records on. We just don't put fucking records on. Well, I listen to the Black Label Society stuff. I just tell my phone to play Black Label Society over Spotify on all my Sonos systems throughout the house. Like, that's more convenient.
And if you really want to hear it in the best quality you can get, you'll probably go into one of the streaming sites, get a FLAC copy, and put it on your speakers.
Yeah.
Or your monitors.
Yeah. So, but there is a follow-up on this, so...
Sure. Till announced deluxe vinyl box set of Fear Inoculum that costs less than $750, but is still super expensive. So, the tour edition was the $810 one. Yeah. So they've announced that the vinyl box set will be available to everyone and it won't cost that much, but it is still expensive. The whole thing's going to cost $165 on Amazon Music, which is steep considering it's 5 records, but actually only 1 album. So the 5 discs they wanted $810 for, you can now spend $165 on.
Yeah. And so, what's the difference? I would assume the difference is that this one isn't signed?
They didn't have it on tour with them, so there's less chance that it's all scratched and fucked. That's about it.
Is there a difference in this? Like, am I right in saying that this is the...
Scroll down the road, there's something there about that potentially might be the differences. Go back up, sorry. Just about there. The set... comes with the album spread across 5 LPs, each with limited edition art on the non-playable side. So you still get your etched art.
You go to this side.
Sorry. And then it's got brand new art and etchings, apparently, which was once what you offered to show somebody when you wanted to take them home and back. Shut up. Fuck, I hate Metal Sucks, man. Really hate it.
So here's over here I've brought up a picture of the 810 one that was on sale. It's this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this.
It's one of those arts. Yeah.
So they went out on tour. They sold this for $810.
Tried to. Dropped it to $750. And now they still want $165 for a version of it online. That's one fucking album, by the way. How much did you say all of Black Label's albums were?
I think about £180.
Right,
yeah.
Cool. So
yeah,
I mean, it's $165, so it's not £180. But still...
It's still overpriced, and trying to sell people on the idea that like half of the vinyl's like etched on one side. So there's one album spread across 5 discs. So you're telling me I've got to change the record
mid-song, no until
constantly. Like, I think one of the drawbacks of vinyl is the fact that at some point during an album you need to get up off your ass and turn that record over.
At some point during the album, within 15 minutes of sitting down.
Yeah, and telling me that, well, now you get the joy of doing that 5 times.
Plus, right?
And you don't even flip it over this time. You've got to take it out, put it back into your sleeve, get the new one out.
Here's my Scottish perspective. What a fucking waste of vinyl. It's already scarce and almost impossible to get anything printed, and they're wasting their time going, just put some on one side and fucking draw on the other side if you want.
Yeah, and
fuck off!
I may be totally wrong on this, but it seems to me that the difference between these two things for 500... Oh, sorry, the best part of $600, like $585 difference. I don't know, my maths is terrible, apparently. That's what they value their autographs at.
It's mad, isn't it?
That's what they value their autographs at. And I'm going to bring him up again, Dave Grohl. I'm sure I mentioned him on the podcast. I may have told you this, or I may have told Melissa this. One of you. Told one of you. I only speak to 2 people these days.
Oh.
Dave, outside of a restaurant, there were people there trying to get an autograph from him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a TikTok that somebody had put up. And I don't know if they were trying to paint Dave in a bad light,
right.
But he was like, look guys, I'm going to say this one more time and one time only, because you're not hearing me, you're not understanding me. I only sign autographs now for charities. That's the only time I sign autographs, so I won't be signing anything for you here. And they're trying to make him look like an ass for that, but I'm like, good guy Dave.
Aye,
like,
if people are out selling his autograph thinking they can make a profit off him, then
he knows that his autograph has significant value. So limiting it to only go to charities who
perceived
can monetize
value.
it. Well, yeah, perceived value.
But I get you what you mean.
No,
Your point is people will still pay for them.
Yeah, people are willing to pay for it.
Yep.
And also, limiting the amount of his autographs that go out there means that when he does sign things for charity, there's
more
less
valuable.
of them. So artificial scarcity, if you like, but still for a good cause. Whereas this, it seems that Tool value their own autographs at more than $500. Well, if I wouldn't pay $500 for someone's autograph if they were signing the thing in front of me. But for them to have pre-signed it, like, I hate that. Like when you see like an artist with like a stack of albums and they're just going, you know, like if I'm paying for an autograph, which I would never fucking do, I want it to say to Levi. You know what I mean?
I get you. The only
fuck this band. I hate this band. I hate their music. I hate their videos. I hate their whole fucking attitude.
I don't hate their music and their videos, but I certainly hate the air of fart sound about them.
Yeah. I hate their fans. I fucking hate everything about them. Speaking of fans,
good segue, by the way.
Yeah.
Very good segue.
I'm going to bring this up and I will play the
so
audio.
much for there's nothing to talk about. We're nearly an hour in.
I know.
It's good.
But we're almost done. So
no, but I mean that in a good way. Like,
sure.
you know what? We can polish a turd.
This was brought up.
So just to interrupt you, right? You can't polish a turd, but you can definitely cover it in glitter.
I mean, I remember Mythbusters, the classic show, and they proved on there that you very much can polish a turd.
I mean, that's probably the worst application of any money.
They got a turd,
TV
and
time,
squished it down into a ball, and then polished it until it was shiny.
Nice.
Polished a turd.
What a weird fucking thing to do.
I know.
Okay, speaking of turds.
Yeah. So this was posted up on Discord. Somebody linked to the United States of Insanity. This is a trailer for a documentary produced by the Insane Clown Posse. It's a little bit older. It's came out in September of last year, but you know, no one was going to draw any attention to this.
Nobody's drawing any attention to it in general. If we're only just seeing it.
Yeah, let's just play it.
This morning, the ACLU filed a federal lawsuit challenging the designation of a musical.
When I first seen this, right,
as a criminal
I thought
I'd like to introduce
this was all staged. I thought this was like, you know what I mean? Like that. It was like a dramatization
with the FBI. We've made USA Today's worst album of the year, GQ's worst artist of all time. We embrace the hate. People hate what they don't understand.
Juggalos are still a group that is reviled and misunderstood.
We're just one big family. We look out for each other.
All of your family.
His music isn't for moms.
The FBI designation.
I think what we need to keep in mind is that this has clearly been paid for and produced by the Insane Clown Posse and is biased in their degree. To some extent, I agree that their fans are not a gang, and it's a very dangerous precedent for the American government to set that they have to be on a watch list or whatever. Considering that was a picture of a lassie where it's got the mean fucking bitmap image of a gun pointing that I've seen everybody in the planet put on.
On his way out.
It just closes with an important statement.
Look what they're saying.
Which is,
I am not a gang member.
I am not a gang member.
I am not a gang member.
If having bad taste in music was a crime, every parrot head in the world would be on the gang list.
If the government can target a group of people based on their musical taste, it can target a group of people based on any reason at all.
And they've done that for forever. Yeah. Source, Columbine. Marilyn Manson was blamed for Columbine. But not the fact that there are very loose or were very loose gun laws.
You are absolutely right, but I guess there's a huge difference between, you know, the media wanting to try and blame Marilyn Manson for something and the FBI designating an entire group of people because they like a band as a gang.
Definitely.
That's fucking terrifying.
I think it's absolutely wild, but I would also say that Insane Clown Posse as a band have brought some of this upon themselves in the way that they conduct themselves. Like, it's not unheard of the two of them to be on the radio again at big fucking whatever else and like talking about violent shit and how they're going to beat people up and whatever else. There's an excellent radio clip, it might even be Howard Stern, I'm sure, and Violent J's on there calling people bitches and saying he's got to beat them up and all the rest of it, and like, you come around here and you'll get fucking knocked out and blah blah blah, and this amateur boxer turns up and just phones into like the radio show and just goes, I'm in the hall, come on then. I'm not going to fight. I'm like, no, come on. What's up? Come on. And he's like, I'm calm. I'm waiting on you. You're the one that's talking all that shit. Get down here.
But so I hear what you're saying, and I hear stuff like that, and I like you see stuff like that in the lead up to MMA fights.
Of course you do, but they're actual professional fighters, though. That's different.
Well, exactly. So they're actually people that are going to fight. Like with Insane Clown Posse, how can you see people rapping about magnets? How the fuck do they work? With clown makeup on, and take them as a serious, like, oh, these are dangerous, compared to someone like, I don't know, any of actual gangster rap. Or let's go for the example of Stitches. Mind Stitches?
I do mind Stitches. Yeah. Miley Cyrus, she's got to put cocaine up her ass. Remember?
Stitches, yeah. Got an AK-47 on my face, yo, because you know I don't shoot no pistol. Like,
I'm impressed you remember his lyrics.
I do, yeah. Because I laughed at that. Brick in your face was the...
He was probably one of the most ridiculous reaction rappers I've ever seen. So
but actually put himself out as being an active drug dealer who's murdered people and stuff like this, like really painting... And actual elements of truth to it if you look into it, but when you throw all of that aside, it's the same thing. It's putting out. You're an artist. You're putting out a vision for people, and if people just see everything that an artist puts out, the way they paint themselves as being how that artist is, just ridiculous. Look at professional wrestling.
I don't think that the government should have any say in saying these people should be designated as a gang and therefore be looked on with prejudice. I don't agree with that at all, but I also think there's an element of fuck around and find out. You act like a cunt and put forward that you are this gangster and you're involved in all these criminal activities and whatever else. Sooner or later you're going to end up on public radar.
Well, I totally do agree with that. I'm okay with that.
My example being not necessarily ICP, right, but grime music, especially London grime, or not even grime, sorry, drill. All of drill music, essentially, almost every song I've ever heard from drill is about drugs, women, or men if it's women that are rapping, stabbings and shootings and crime.
Sure.
Constantly talking about it. There are multiple YouTube videos of people going through like drill lyrics and going, this was based on it, they've grasped themselves in, that was him talking about stabbing this guy, this is the crime that this is supposedly be about, these things are all parallels, this guy went to jail because he was rapping about this, and then the police looked into it.
Yeah. Now, look, I actually agree with you 100% on stuff like that, but the most you can draw from that is that the person making this music is a bad person and has done criminal acts.
100%.
Yeah.
I am not saying that extends to fans.
Yeah.
In any way, shape or form.
Yeah, because, I mean, you made an interesting comment before we talked about the show, which is your how you perceive or how you might think of why Insane Clown Posse fans are Insane Clown Posse fans. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, and this is, I hope nobody takes like offence to this, because I don't mean it in a horrible way, right? But within any part of society, there are people who would maybe be considered outliers or who don't fit into the mainstream, right? I think juggalos are some sort of bonding factor for people who find themselves outside of the norm. Yeah. Because if you watch anything like the rise of the Juggalettes or something, whatever the fuck their festival's called, everybody talking there talks about like mad traumas they've had and whatever else, but then they see these people as being like an extension of family. Yeah. And it's like a community in itself, but I mean, it's definitely a community where they all walk about drinking and doing whippets and what other drugs they're doing.
Yeah. But
whoop, whoop.
I mean, I don't know why anyone could be offended by that, because I just think that like that is music, or sorry, not just music. That's limited to just about any community of any interest, right? Mm-hmm. Fans of a football team treat each other like they're a family. People are drawn to groups, so we can feel safe and we can feel that we're a part of something. Magic the Gathering fans come together, and like if I meet somebody at a gig and it turns out that they're a Magic player, then cool, I like you. We've got stuff that we can talk about. It's a connection, and like an Insane Clown Posse is that, but just ramped up because you've got stupid makeup on. Like it's easy to spot people that are not just people that are going to have shared interests with you, but that have probably been through similar trials and tribulations in their life to you, and are also being persecuted by the government. Like you.
I mean, that's as much as that sounds like a ridiculous statement, I would actually agree with that too. Yeah. Again, not saying that this is in any way, shape or form fair game for the American government, but again, I think Insane Clown Posse choosing a small running guy with a hatchet as their main logo didn't help any. You know, like certain things about the imagery and the way you put yourself forward will potentially lead to others prejudging you. I
cannot believe that it's taken me this long to say this, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to throw everything that you're saying out of the equation, because you're into brutal death metal. And when you look at all of the bands in the brutal death metal scene, we were talking about Cannibal Corpse earlier, right? Like, or
I Come Blood, entrails ripped from a virgin's cunt.
We're talking about a band earlier that is selling imitation severed faces.
Correct.
And the government aren't like, oh, these fans are dangerous, they're going to commit, because that's dumb.
Well, I think that's probably more so because their fans aren't out. Actually, no, you've got a point, because if you really look at Cannibal Corpse and you decide to look into Pat O'Brien, who went on a meth-fueled bender with machine guns and shit, like creeping about neighbours' back gardens with big army knives and shit. Okay, maybe there's some validity into...
I am legitimately worried when I meet a group of Cannibal Corpse fans. Legitimately worried when I meet a group of Cannibal Corpse fans.
That you might become a Cannibal Corpse fan?
Not because I'm worried that they're going to commit some sort of horrible atrocity on me. I'm worried because...
They might play Cannibal Corpse in your vicinity?
It terrifies me that you can meet a group of people with such collective bad taste. You know what I mean? That worries me.
But you're sitting next to me.
I know.
I play guitar and party cannon.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to bother you all that much.
It does. It kills me inside.
It's all right. You don't like Buckethead, you know what I mean? We can split that one.
Yeah. So if
I
you want to
disagree.
go, if you want to go and check out that Insane Clown Posse documentary, do. You know, me and Mike, we talk about not being political, but you know, I'm interested in a story like that because it allows me to be inherently very anti-government, and which I'm all for.
I don't think that's political. I think that's just fucking societal, and it should be.
Let's spin off that story. Let's just finish with this. This was shared on the Discord server. I've not read it, but it was brought up as an interesting subject of discussion. So we can devote 5 minutes to this.
That's cool. Yep. When Tears for Fears released their album Everybody Loves a Happy Ending in 2004, the English pop duo's future, or lack thereof, seemed clear. I thought that it was the last hurrah, the singer-guitarist Roland Orzabal said on a recent video call from a house he owns in Los Angeles. I thought it was a beautiful way of putting a full stop at the end of the sentence. It's a really nice way to put it. Tears for Fears have experienced a remarkably successful run in the 1980s, highlighted by worldwide hits including Shout, Head Over Heels, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and Sowing the Seeds of Love. I mean, they are all bangers, but I think what's more important is that Shout was actually covered by Disturbed.
Disturbed, yeah.
And that's it's the best cover ever. Yeah. Well, actually, but it is a good cover. That's what I quite liked about the Disturbed albums. Just going to put that out there that I have listened to quite a lot of Disturbed albums. There's always a cover on their albums, and they're always pretty good.
I'm going to keep coming out and saying I like Disturbed. Just full stop. I like Disturbed.
I don't like modern Disturbed. I don't like from kind of 10,000 Fists onwards. But the earlier albums, when I was still kind of into edgy new metal, David Draymond shouting at his mum down the microphone and fucking down the sickness and shit, I was like, he's very harrowed. Anyway, the group had already endured a nasty breakup in the early 90s, after which Orzabal carried on under the Tears for Fears banner while his erstwhile bandmate, the singer-guitarist Kurt Smith, made solo albums, both to diminished returns, before they patched up their differences. But in the music industry, there's rarely a full stop at the end of the sentence. While pop music is often a measure of the current moment, it's always been borne back ceaselessly into the past. Bands rarely break up, they go on hiatus. A successful career can outlive the performer that once powered it. Nothing, not even death, can stop the rumbling engine of commerce. Minting new hits and new stars is a gamble, but the past is the closest the music industry has to a sure thing. I'd say that's fair. For a time, Fears for Fears participated somewhat ambivalently in the nostalgia industrial complex, playing their hits on periodic tours of casinos and wineries in the summer festival circuit. But while their life of what the industry calls a heritage act was enriching, it wasn't that engaging. We were getting a bit bored of it, Smith said on separate video call from his home in Southern California. Us being a heritage act was never going to work because we need new material to keep us excited. Trying to find that new material was the hard part. I can imagine a lot of bands fall into that.
Yeah. I've not heard that term of heritage acts.
I've not really heard that as well.
I know what you mean. I know what they mean when they say that, and it's like, okay.
I think it would be like if you went to see Iron Maiden and people only wanted to hear the earliest albums. And I'm talking like before even Blaze Bayley came back. Yeah. I don't think make them a heritage act, but you get my point.
Or going to see Guns N' Roses next year and them only playing new material, and you've been like,
no, stop it! Absolutely. It's funny actually. It's funny I mentioned Iron Maiden in that regard. I went to see Maiden.
If you're about to tell me that Iron Maiden was your first gig, I'm just going to turn the camera off and be like, right, that's it, we're done.
Iron Maiden was my first gig, but that's not what I'm talking about. No, I went to see Maiden a few times, but there was one time I went to see them, and I think it was when was it Benjamin Breek was the name of or whatever the album was called? One of the more modern albums, and they played the full album start to finish, and I remember almost the full crowd side at the same time. Like, really? Is this what we're getting? You don't go to see Iron Maiden to hear the new album. You don't, unless you're an absolute gimp.
Heritage band. Heritage band that still have the balls to make new music. Which
correct.
I hope this is where this is going.
I think that's what they're trying to say. This was a particularly jumping off point for the protracted odyssey that would eventually yield the band's first album in 18 years, The Tipping Point, which is due on, it says Friday, it could have been last Friday, potentially Friday coming. But this tension between commerce and art is hardly unusual for any artist with a catalogue of past hits. Reconciling it often takes time. I suppose Fleetwood Mac would be considered a heritage act as well then.
I think it all comes down to how the fan perceives the band. You know what I mean? Like, if I go see Fleetwood Mac, I want them to play all their old material. Symphony X, on the other hand, have been going for 25 years. They're a long-running band. If I go see Symphony X, I want them to play new material.
I think...
How old does a band have to be before they're a heritage act?
I think it's probably more so if they were only successful in a certain period, and that period has moved on.
Or maybe it's a case of whether or not you as a fan accept that they still have it or they don't. Like, I think that I want to hear new Symphony X material because they still have it. When it comes to going to see an Iron Maiden, I would rather them play old material because I don't think they have it in terms of writing new material that captures the magic of the old material.
Yeah, that's fair. Tears for Fears is just one of the number of veteran acts that's re-emerged as a recording entity in recent months after an extended period on the sidelines. ABBA, Jethro Tull, Wet Wet Wet, The Temptations, The Boo Radleys and Men Without Hats all have also recently released their first albums of new material in more than a decade, or are about to. For some, the pandemic likely played a role in their return. With touring shuttered for long stretches of the past 2 years, many artists were losing income. And with long stretches to sit around, songwriters, unsurprisingly, often write songs. Eddie Rosa, the guitarist and singer for the Chicago alt-rock trio Urge Overkill, who released its first studio album in 11 years, We, on February 11th, said, "No one knows who we are." He says, "The only gateway to playing together and having fun is working on new things." Okay. Urge scored modest hits in the 1990s with Sister Havana and a cover of Neil Diamond's Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon, but Rosa was wary of becoming a greatest hits machine. Anybody who does music professionally dreads going up and playing the one song people came to the show for. I can imagine that. In the 1980s, the English synth-pop duo Soft Cell often refused to play its biggest hit, Tainted Love, on tour.
Bold.
"We were so sick of it," said David Ball, the group's multi-instrumentalist. Nostalgia Machine, a song from Happiness Not Included, Soft Cell's first album since 2002, which is due in May, is a cheeky nod to the industry's obsession with the past. "It's really about the fact that everything is recycled and reused," Ball said. Correct, that's how music works.
I don't know if I want to keep going because it goes on for...
There's not that much more, but we can stop if you want. I mean, the point's been made.
Yeah.
When is it okay for a band to put their own line in, we want to play this and we don't want to play this?
Let's go from here.
Cool, we'll read then. That's cool. For veteran artists, live shows are less likely to drive significant sales or streams of new music than they are to boost the artist's back catalogue. Tears for Fears lived through that while promoting Everyone Loves a Happy Ending, which was frustrating, but as Smith noted, it's still our income. The band's past commercial success provides the luxury to make decisions solely on artistic merit. The hardest thing with managers for us is them wrapping their heads around the fact that we don't care that much if we're hugely successful, he added. Because we've already been successful. Eventually, what cleared the path to the new album was returning to make music the way they had when they first met as teenagers. In early 2020, Orzabal and Smith got together and with a pair of acoustic guitars hashed out No Small Thing, the dramatic, swirling folk rock epic that opens the new album. Take a word for it. It was just the two of us, pre-pandemic, no team of songwriters, no interfering record company, no manager, no animosity, Orzabal said. They revisited material from their earlier sessions, eventually reworking a handful of songs for The Tipping Point, which will be released by Concord Records, an independent label.
And I have to say, just from bringing this up, Graham Norton's had a fall, hasn't he? It's Graham Norton and David Bowie. So what's going on here? Is that just me that sees that? Just me? No?
I'm definitely seeing the Graham Norton.
I mean, this is Bowie all day long. He didn't. Bowie is going to be our generation's Elvis. Bowie ain't dead. He's just off playing fucking shitty 80s music.
He joined Tears for Fears for a laugh.
Actually, what am I talking about? Bowie made a career playing shitty 80s music.
Oh, you better be very careful what you're saying, son.
I know.
Not me, I'm not that bothered, but...
Oh, I like upsetting people.
You do, aye. You're pretty bad at it, to be fair.
I'm not a David Bowie fan. Hashtag deal with it.
He also doesn't like Buckethead, so you can discard his opinion.
When before Bowie died, before he died, Black Star came out, which had like
I never listened to it, but I remember Big Andy talking about it and being pretty obsessed.
Yeah, the Ben Monder was playing guitar on it. Who's like New York,
sorry?
Ben Monder. Who's like
Tom's brother,
New York jazz scene. Monder ER rather than A.
Don't ruin my joke. Anyway, yes, sorry.
I hate Ben Monder's playing. And when I saw this, he's got these New York. It's
proper so negative.
Proper New York jazz cats doing but the very, very experimental New York jazz sound. And as soon as I saw these guys playing on the record, I was like, I'm gonna fucking hate every second of this, and I did. But I appreciate that David was, pushing boundaries and trying to do different things.
He was always pushing boundaries.
Just wasn't for me. So, but you know what is for me?
Did I know?
This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless V's, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars and Rev Amplification.
We love you.
You can finally see the generator behind me again, which is nice.
Tribute.
It's definitely a better view than what we've had for a while. Because the amp's not over in the corner anymore. Sat in my hallway, ready to go out for more gigs, because that's me now, the gigging musician.
Mm-hmm.
I would say come and see us, but if last Saturday was anything to go by, don't come and see us for a while.
Behave.
Need to settle in.
Here's a question, right? Just we should have asked you earlier on. I noticed that your vertical 2x12 was sitting behind us. I know you got that for the hybrid guitar.
Mm-hmm.
You're not taking that out with you gigging?
Not yet.
Would you rather take that than your Rev 212?
Not for the... Oh, do you mean just the cabinet, or you mean the
cab.
actual hybrid guitar?
Just the cab.
No, because the cabinet is a stereo cab that with 2 different speakers in it set for different sounds, and I'm not running a stereo input rig for it.
I'm forgetting that that's got one voice for bass and one voice for guitar, and not just 2 separate guitar speakers.
I did consider taking that because I thought there might be some benefits to that, but to be honest, while the Rev cab is heavy, that cab is even fucking heavier.
Well, that was what I was thinking. Logistically, I didn't know how heavy it was going to be, but
yeah, that cab is way too fucking heavy. So yeah, I'm schlepping it out, taking a head and cab, when really I should just have like everybody else, like a Fender Blues Deluxe combo that would do the job, you know, or still have my Fender Bassman. But nah, cart a cab around. People are into that. So a lot of compliments on Saturday actually from punters, as you expect, as you're wheeling your gear, and they're like, some nice pedals on there. And I'm like, please don't spend tonight watching me looking for a guitar player. Please just enjoy some music, have a drink, have a dance. Don't give a shit about my tone. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have good tone. As expected.
I was talking about this earlier on, right? We were, one of my young people that I work with, really beautiful Lamborghini went past us, right? Bright green, flying past us. And the driver's passenger, I assume must have been partner or girlfriend or potential beau, was not interested, on their phone. And I said to you, that's a life lesson, son. What you need to remember is, guitars, cars and motorbikes do not get you women. They get you sweaty men who are interested in the same as you. Just so you're aware.
Yeah.
If you're good looking and you have one of those, you might get women, but that's not because of those. That's because you're good looking.
Yeah.
If you're out there trying to find female partnership,
just
be aware. And you've just fell into exactly what I was talking about. That is what happens. Yeah. You have these fantasies when you're younger of, can't wait to be a rock star. Not necessarily about chasing women, but sex, drugs and rock and roll is a statement for a reason.
Yep.
You know, you're expecting, you'll have groupies and there'll be girls who are like fangirling over you. Whether you do it or no is not the point, right? But it doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen.
Lots of drugs and rock and roll.
Usually shit drugs and people that you don't want to be anywhere near. On those shit drugs.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, you make some really good points there. You make some very good points there. Obviously, I know this, and I've spent my last 5 years trying to move people away from that. And maybe that's why my YouTube channel isn't the success that many people say it should be. I am trying to cater to people that shouldn't give a fuck about any of those things. You know, I put up a video of me playing live with the Crows, and you know, it got some views on it, which is nice.
Was this the video you was playing I Never?
Yeah.
I watched that and I was very impressed. It sounded great.
Yeah.
And the footage was fantastic.
Yeah. So I've got like 2 hours of that stuff.
You were saying it was all pro
putting,
shot?
I'll be putting some more of that up.
So you
But generally speaking, it's like people don't care for it because it's like, yeah, but where's all the shredding licks? Where's all the showing off? And it's like, you know what? None of that shit matters unless you want to attract other sweaty middle-aged men.
I think there's an element of it where if it's in the right context, it would be fine. Because I wouldn't say that Derek Trucks doesn't unleash, but he's also very tasteful in putting it in context.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
You're not coming to see the Smoking Crows and expecting you to be blazing off at fucking 24 notes per second or whatever.
Yeah.
Same way, like even
definitely some moments of that, but
that's the point. Like you can do it everything in moderation, including moderation, when it calls for it in certain songs, and that's the vibe and the energy. Then fair enough. But you know, and they're just to be ripping it. Another person that I think is really good at that, choosing those moments. For what I've seen on Facebook, because I've not seen him with his live band in a few years actually, is wee Lyle Watt.
I've seen his stuff's popping up a lot more recently, which is good.
And, yeah, and you see him playing stuff, and a lot of the time it's just him kind of sitting back, maybe a couple of wee tasteful licks here and there. But he's also been putting videos up where it's like, we all just decided to go fucking gung-ho and here's what happened. Yeah. And the full band are just going for it. Yeah. I think the context of that's really good, because that's like everybody playing off the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
so,
good.
Context matters, Trips.
Yeah. Speaking of context, Mike, until next time.
I'm going to say flat or bad, so love yous. Be good.